So we're going to go and see if we can resurrect these old Oakley Jury sunglasses. Do you like 150 days of winter?
Let's do this.
To geek the hell out. Now, before I start, this is definitely one of those videos that is one of my personal projects. It's not really for views, but who knows? I made a video quite similar to this about an old VHS machine which got way more feedback than was expected. I think as a prelude, I have got to explain what an Oakley fanboy I am. If you don't want to watch this first bit, then there's a chapter marker down below. You can skip to the bit where we go straight to the sunglasses. Let me take you back to the beginning. Okay, back in the 90s, I bought my first pair of Oakleys, a pair of frogskins. A nice fitting pair of shades. I say mildly expensive, probably because they were the first proper pair of sunglasses that I ever purchased. However, after a fall, I managed to break the sunglasses just above one of the lenses. After trying to superglue it unsuccessfully, I was told that if you sent them back to Oakley, Oakley will just send you a brand new pair. To me, this sounded amazing. When I got back to England, I went to my local Oakley shop, or not even Oakley shop, but the shop that sold Oakleys, and asked them for what was called a warranty box, which was a little prepaid cardboard box. Popped my sunglasses in there, sent them back to Oakley, and voila, Oakley sent me a brand new pair. It was at this point that Oakley customer support had gained themselves a repeat customer. Here is now the sickening list of all the things that I've got from Oakley over the time. Let's start with goggles. So my first proper pair of snow goggles were a pair of Oakley Pro models. These are really tatty now, but they've got a bit of sentimental value to me, and so these are really nice. Of course, after the Pro model, we went through A-frames and O-frames. We had a pair of Wisdoms for a while. I'm just redoing the foam on the inside because I haven't used them forever, and they have seen better days. And of course, anyone who's watched my channel will know that I have had a pair of flight decks for about 5 years, and these are possibly some of the best goggles that I have ever had. As for the glasses, well, you've heard about I told you about the frogskins. Possibly the most expensive pair of glasses that I ever purchased was a pair of Juliet's, which again, even now, they are still amazing. With hindsight, I should have maybe bought the Romeos, but at the time when I tried them on, they just were a bit too big for my face. Still, I have no regrets about the Juliet's. After that, we bought some wires, we bought some Y3s, we bought these Juries, and my current daily driver is a pair of main links, which are absolutely brilliant. These ones I've had for quite a while. They're on their second pair of lenses. Again, original Oakley lenses, but you don't need me to tell you that. We go on one step further and we start talking about clothing. Just before I broke my ankle back in 2019, that was the first big accident. I actually bought this like mid-layer, like fleece, which has been absolutely amazing, even 5 years later. Anyone who has followed my channel will of course recognize the big green jacket that again lasted me for absolutely ages. The only reason why I no longer wear that is because the zip broke. And again, that's not really Oakley's problem. I should really complain to YKK, who make the zips for everything. As well as that, we've had a large selection of hats. Some less than normal. Oakley make some amazing spring gloves. These have seen better days because I've had them for such a long time. But March and April, you don't need big, thick gloves. And these, again, have been absolutely brilliant. I have actually got a brand new pair of these, but just not here. And then probably, I have probably one of the first Icon backpacks that ever was released. And I think that must be almost about 30 years ago. Maybe 20 years ago, I don't know. But suffice to say, it's still working absolutely fine. It's looking a bit weathered, but anyway, absolutely great. I can even top it off by saying that I have an Oakley money clip. Shame it doesn't have any money in it. So that's it for the clothing. So let me get back to the sunglasses. And as you probably worked out from my description, I prefer glasses with square lenses. I feel it's a better fit for the shape of my face. Which of course brings us to the Oakley Juries. And these ones specifically because they're made out of aluminium, or as the Americans would say, aluminum, or even as Oakley would say, O-luminum, because Oakley have to put everything with an O in it, instead of the normal O matter, which is their material that they usually make their plastic sunglasses out of. And as you can see, that I have bought quite a few pairs of Juries throughout the time. Because of a design fault, there was a weak point in the hinges of the arms, and in order to attach a metal arm to a metal frame, they decided to put a piece of O matter like polycarbonate to give the arms a bit of flex, especially when you're dealing with big fat heads. After about 6 months, my first pair of Juries broke. But once again, Oakley came through. I sent them back to Oakley, great customer service. Oakley sent me a brand new pair. This must have been about 2010, I'm thinking. 6 months later, the replacements also broke. But when I contacted Oakley, they came back to me and said, unfortunately, we no longer make the Juries, because possibly they had had an awful lot of warranty claims because of the defect. They said, would I like anything from the current catalogue? So I went to the next best place. I went to eBay and I bought another pair of Oakley Juries. I bet you can work out what happened to those. Yeah, they broke again. Now, any normal person would have just given up right there. However, you know what? I tried one more time. I think it was about 2013, and I went and found a pair from Australia. Yes, I bought something from Australia. I live in France. You can work out that there's something wrong generally. Anyway, when these arrived, or to be more precise, when the third pair broke, I suddenly looked at the hinge of the glasses, and I noticed that the original ones had like a little bit of a nubbin that basically clicks into the hinge there and provides the rotation for the arm to basically go in and out. But the third pair I had, they'd actually got rid of this weak point, and you can see from here that one of the nubbins is like broken off completely. That Oakley actually realized what the problem was, and in their second version of these, they basically got rid of this plastic clip-in hinge, and instead they put a metal bar that basically went through the plastic and provided which was a much better solution. Unfortunately, that didn't solve the other problem that these had, in that the other weak part of the hinge was actually in the middle. This is a full-size one, and of course you can see right down the middle there is where they usually break. So unfortunately, I relegated my pile of pieces to various like sunglass bags. And I mean, back in 2013, I'm going to say that the thought of 3D printing was in its infancy. Not to mention like 3D scanning as well. Every like couple of years, I would find the bag of bits and go, hey, you know what? Maybe we should try and rebuild these juries. And every time after a little bit, I would get distracted by something, squirrel, and we would start all over again. However, at the end of this last winter, I decided to try harder. And I actually contacted several companies in France that provide 3D scanning and 3D printing. And I said, how much would it be for you to scan one of these pieces here and basically after you've scanned it, flip it as well so that I can have one for both sides of the sunglasses and print me a couple of copies. I think that the estimated price that they gave me was about 150 euros, which actually is not that bad. But I understand from a technical perspective the time and effort that it would take to go and basically scan in something like this and then correct it and then go through all of the rigmarole, even though, yes, they are little 5 centimetre long pieces. Just as the moment where I was about to again put all this stuff back in the bag, I went on to type into Google and I said, Oakley Jury hinge replacement. And there was an eBay listing that came up. Now, I'm not very good at like American postcodes, but somewhere in, I'm going to say Arizona, it might not be. Anyway, of a gentleman who decided to 3D print the replacement hinges for these. And he was doing a roaring business. I think he's made about 100 orders all in all on eBay. So obviously there are loads of people who have the same like of the Jury sunglasses. I went and ordered a set of first generation hinges and second generation hinges. I think all in all, I think I paid about 80 euros for the lot, and I set about repairing them. Basically, if you can imagine, this is what the original looks like, and of course this is the 3D printed copy. They are ever so slightly different. And of course, the first thing that when you get these, it says you may need to do some filing. And I was like, okay, hey, it's the summer up in a ski resort. I've got plenty of time. Now, of course, the one thing you should remember if you are filing is you can, if you take off too little, that's fine. If you take off too much, that's a problem. And so, of course, I set about, I tried to get this to fit into this, into there. Now, if you can see, there are two little arms that stick out here that go into grooves at the end of the arm. And of course, again, with 3D printing, it's not the sizing isn't absolute. And so, of course, very carefully, these have to be filed down, and then also the circumference have to be reduced ever so slightly before they will slide very nicely into the metal arm. But that's not quite the end of it as well. When these fit into there, they basically fit into like a recessed channel that go all the way to the end. And of course, if you compare them to the originals, which are here, you can see that this has got nice smooth edges, and whereas this is maybe a millimeter thicker than it should be. So again, filing around the edges of these just to round them off ever so slightly to make them fit. And I'm not going to kid you, it took a while. I think the first pair that I did took, I was going to say, a good evening to do. Again, a little bit of filing, little bit of test fit, filing, test fit, so on and so forth. But in the end, basically, we have got, and this is actually the second model, because of course on the right hand side it's the original, and on the left hand side it is the 3D printed piece. And I now have my Oakley Juries back again, which is absolutely amazing. However, while I was repairing the version 2s, I then went back in and I went and did the same for the version 1s. And again, so I now have 2 pairs of Oakley Jury sunglasses, and I am incredibly happy because, as I say, these were and are my favourite. They were my favourite sunglasses for many years, and I'm so pleased to have something else when the main links aren't, or the Juliets aren't doing their thing. I can basically wear these and they are great. It's only taken me 15 years to actually get all this stuff done. Maybe let's say 10 to be more optimistic. So there you have it. That was my entire story of replacing repairing these Oakley Jury sunglasses. I do have a third pair, but I've been using this as a donor for various plastic parts which went on to some of those, which is the reason. And also one of the some of these old lenses have delaminated slightly, which is unfortunate. But again, I use them to swap out damaged lenses from these, put them back into those. So I do actually have a third pair, but I don't. That's just going to be it. So there you go. That's my Oakley Jury story. That's repairing my Oakley Jury story. If you have a comment and you want to say what a sad Oakley fanboy I am, please leave your comments down below. If you would like to enjoy, well, if you enjoy other films, videos on my channel, please click the subscribe button. It's always appreciated. Or if just click the like button. And on that, I will see you all in the next video. Ciao.